Good morning, students. Today we will start lesson number 8, The Glory of Bharatvarsha of Standard 6 SST. The more you know about the past, the better you are prepared for the future. India is a country known for its prosperity and cultural diversity. Today we are going to start with lesson number 8, The Glory of Bharatvarsha, and we'll try to learn about the richness of our cultural heritage because people without the knowledge of their past history, origin, and culture are like a tree without roots. So let's get started. How would we define the glory of our country? There are people in our country following different religions, but still, when it comes to binding these religions, we celebrate Diwali, Eid, Baishakhi, and Christmas with the same zeal and enthusiasm. What does this represent? It represents unity in diversity. As rightly said by Jawaharlal Nehru, although people follow different religions, traditions, and culture and speak different languages, we are still united. We have learned about various people who came to our country as they were attracted with our prosperity. We have also learned about the rulers and heritages from Stone Age all the way till 8th century. Now we will gather information about art, architecture and social life of our country. So let's get started with ancient India agriculture. Food that we all rely on for survival comes from farms, and it is not today that farming has started. It began in ancient India. Wheat, barley, paddy, jowar, millet, sesame, peas, etc. were cultivated during that time. Barley means jaw, which comes from wheat. Paddy means rice. Jowar is also called sorghum. Millet means corn, and sesame means till. Although during excavation plough has not been found during the Harappan time, but as plough-shaped toy has been found, we can say that people during that time were using plough for ploughing fields. They were using iron tools for clearing forests like axes, ploughs for farming, and sickle was also used. Sickle is a short-handed farming tool with a semicircular blade used for cutting. Moving on to irrigation. As during ancient time it was difficult for the kingdoms to survive without rich villages. Canals, wells, lakes, and artificial reservoirs were developed for irrigation. Now, let's try to understand the social life of ancient people of India. Let's understand the life of the people of North India first. The head of the village was called Gram Bojak, who inherited his position from his ancestors. He was the biggest landlord of the village, who was assigned the responsibility of collecting revenue and maintaining law and order by the king. His farms were given on rent to other farmers for farming. Let's move on to the rural life of South India. In South India, the people were divided into three categories. First were the big landlords. They were the people who used to rent their farms to other farmers for farming. They used to grow surplus crops which were sold to others and were also sufficient for their consumptions. Then were the small farmers who used to grow crops sufficient for their consumptions, and then were the landless laborers or servants who used to work for landlords in order to survive and satisfy their basic needs. Talking about the life in towns, all the cities, or rather kingdoms, that existed during ancient times were part of the Mahajanpads. The town planning was done in a systematic manner. Huge walls were made around the towns known as fortifications so that the kingdoms could be saved from any attacks. The people used to make spherical wells which were used by the people for toilets, drains or dustbins. They used to consume wheat, barley, rice, milk, curd, ghee, fruits, meat and fish. The man and woman during ancient times used to usually wear two clothes. Nivi was the cloth that used to cover the upper body, and vas was the cloth that used to cover the lower body. A dupatta kind of a cloth was sometimes wrapped around the upper body, known as adhivas. Now, let's try to understand the ancient Indian art forms. The art forms were divided into two categories: fine arts and performing arts. Fine arts was related to the art of creating, which included painting, drawing, literature, architecture, music, clay art, etc. Another form of art was the performing arts, which included dance and drama. Literature in India. Indian literature has been divided into three parts: religious literature, non religious literature, and description by foreign travelers. Let's try to understand each one in detail. First is religious literature. Books and manuscripts dealing with religion are known as religious texts. Vedas are considered to be the oldest literature of India. The four Vedas are Rig Veda, Yajurveda, Samveda, and Atharva Veda. Rig Veda is the earliest form of Vedas. Yajurveda, the book of prayers. Samveda, the earliest reference for singing, and Atharva Veda, the book of magic and charms. The Brahmin texts are the hymns and mantras of the Vedic text that explain the performance of Vedic rituals. The Aranyakas constitute the philosophy behind ritual sacrifice of the ancient Hindu secret text, the Vedas. They include Shatpath Brahmin, which means proceeding in 100 ways; Gopat Brahmin, a genre of the prose text describing Vedic rituals; and Brihadrayanka Brahmin, which tells about the supernatural facts related to the universe. Talking about Ramayana, written by Valmiki, it is an ancient Sanskrit epic about the life of Ram and about the social life and moral standards of that time. When we talk about Mahabharata, also known as Jaya Samhita, written by Vedvyas, it depicts victory collection. It is also known as the fifth Vedas because it explains the principles of the four Vedas and also contains the Bhagavad Gita. The Upanishads are the philosophical religious text of Hinduism, also known as Sanatan Dharma, meaning eternal path, which develops and explains fundamental beliefs of the religion. About 108 Upanishads of Indian compilation: Katha, Kena, Prasna, Mundaka, Mundukya, Ishavasyam, and Chandogya. Upanishads are great texts of Indian philosophy. The Purans are Hindu religious texts. They contain narratives about the history of the universe from creation to destructions and the genealogies of kings, heroes, sages, and deities. Out of 18 Purans, Vishnu Purana, Garud Purana, Vayu Purana, and Matsya Purana, as well as Bhagavad, are known as special texts. Tripitaka is considered to be a record of the words of Buddha. Original texts of Buddhism are called Tripitaka. It includes Sukta Pitaka, which refers to the verses of truth; Vinaya Pitaka, the one that regulates monastic life and daily affairs of monks and nuns according to the rules attributed by Buddha; and Abhidhamma Pitaka, which refers to the scholastic method itself as well as the field of knowledge. Other important texts include Didhanikaya, Anguttara Nikaya, Majjhima Nikaya, Milinda Panhano of Nagsen, and Sri Mulkalpa of Aryamani Jishi. Buddhist text writers in Tibetan language are Kangyur and Tengyur. Mythical stories known as Jatak Kathas along with Brihit Katha, Harivansh Purana, Vasudev Vidhi, Siddhem Shabdanushasan, Dvayashriya and Kirti Kaumudi are main texts. The texts containing the teaching of Mahavir are called Agam texts. There are 12 Agam Granthas. Ancient Jain literature is divided into 14 Parva and 12 texts or Anga. Angas are the religious texts followed by the Jains. The book says about the laws of life that is to be governed by the followers. It also deals with way to be followed to be pure and obtain enlightenment after life. Main text includes Agams, Acharyanga and Vaitalik, the Dashavaitalik Sutra. Non-religious or secular literature. It is the one which comprises of worldly things and not pertaining to religious rituals or beliefs. This kind of literature rather more rational and scientific in its approach. Poems, dramas, accolades, grammar, text and smritis are included in non-religious literature. Smritis are Hindu law texts. Manusmriti, Yagnavalkya Smriti and Narad Smriti are law texts. Kautilya's Arthashastra is also a law text that refers to the practice of political diplomacy that arose in India and is a perfect example of written material on position, policy, and military strategy. Great poets of ancient India who wrote plays and poems are Mahakavi Bas, Kalidas, Shudrak, Bharvi, etc. Some important epics include Abhigyan Shakuntalam, a play that revolves around the story of King Dushyant, and Shakuntala Raghuvansham that describes the line of the kings of the Raghu dynasty. Meghadutam, a lyrical poem that describes how a yaksh who was banished by his master to a remote region for a year asked a cloud to send message to his wife. Kirata Arjunam, an epic poem that describes the combat between Arjun and Lord Shiva at Indrakeladri hill. Swapna Vasavadatam, a Sanskrit play written in 6 acts describing the sorrow of a king for his queen who has believed to have perished in fire, and Mirchachaka Katikam, a Sanskrit drama that describes the affection between an impoverished Brahmin and a wealthy courtesan. In South India, Sangam literature was composed in first 3 centuries. Sangam means a gathering of learned men. It is the most ancient literature which is almost entirely religious. 1600 folk poets have composed heroic poems in 3 Sangams meetings in Madurai, Shilpapadikaram. This epic is a tragic love story of an ordinary couple, Kannaki and her husband Kovallam, and Mani Mekhalai, which is a sequel of the earlier epic which describes the story of Mani Mekhalai, the daughter of Kannaki, and Kovallam. They both are important literatures. Panini's Ashtadhyayi sums up 4,000 sutras, the science of phonetics and grammar that evolved in the Vedic religion was composed in 5th century BC and is considered the best grammar text in Sanskrit. Ashoka's inscriptions inform about administration during Mauryan Empire and ethical rules of Buddhist religion of ancient India. Poetry and texts developed during Gupta age are Samundragupta's Prayag Prashasti, written by Hari Sen, that mentions the achievements of Samundragupta as a great warriors. Udayagiri's Chandragupta II Prashasti, written by Veer Sen Sabha, that explains how Chandragupta II continued the expansionist policy of his father and how he extended his empire in all 4 directions. Harshacharita, in praise of Harsha by Bana, depicts the court and times of the Buddhist Emperor Harsha of northern India.